Hi guys, and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about my April TBR. So for the month of April, I will be participating in the Magical Readathon. And the Magical Readathon was created by G over at The Book Roast, and she started this last year. She has a couple different readathons a year. The Owls Readathon, the Newts Readathon. She did one around Christmas time as well as a couple others. She has gone a step farther this year and has created wizarding careers, and she just puts so much work into this readathon, and it's fantastic. You guys should really check out her channel and check out her readathon if you haven't heard of it, which it's a pretty popular readathon, so most people probably already know about it. But she also has a Twitter for the readathons that I will link down below. And this year, for the wizarding career, she actually created a whole pamphlet of different careers that you can pick from. And I printed it off because it's honestly incredible. The premise is that you pick a career, and each career has owls that you have to complete and newts that you have to complete, and then you can have that career in the magical world. And so there are 18 different careers that you can choose from. So this year, I decided to choose healer. And the reason I chose healer was pretty simple, because I am a nurse in real life. So I decided that that was a pretty good choice for me. I might as well do what I do now, but just make it magical, which sounds much more fantastic than what I do currently. In order to pursue the career path in healer, you need to complete an owl in each of the following subjects: herbology, charms, defense against the dark arts, potions, transfiguration, and 3 other subjects of your choosing. Now, it is my understanding that you can use your owls from previous years to complete the career path for this year, and that is what I'm going to be doing. I participated in the Owls Readathon last year and got 4 owls then, and so I'm using those owls for this career as well. So that means I am missing 4 owls, which is 4 books, which is about what I read every month. So I figured that this would be a good option to help guide my TBR and maybe see if I can fit some of the books that I've been wanting to read into these prompts. So the tricky part about April is that I'm going to be traveling for a large chunk of the month. So I had to pick books that I also had available on my Kindle because I'm not going to be taking any physical books with me on my trip. And so I think I found a good mix of physical and ebooks to read this month. So I'm going to go over the prompts for each of the subjects that I'm choosing, as well as the books that I have completed previously for my owls. So for my herbology owl, the prompt this year is to read a book with a plant on the cover, and I am going to be reading A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. This is a newly released YA fantasy book, and it is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I am reading this book with Murphina Pier's Patreon group, and that's kind of all I know about the book, but I'm very excited to read it. I've seen some good reviews for it, so I'm excited to see what I think of the book as well. The next subject is charms, and I completed my charms owl last year. The prompt was to read any fantasy book, and I read An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. Alright, hopefully I didn't mess up my angle too much. I had to switch something around on my camera. The next subject is Defense Against the Dark Arts, which I completed last year, and the prompt for that was a book about secret societies or clubs, and I chose Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff because the Illuminae group is kind of a secret society in and of itself. The next subject is potions, and the prompt for that this year is to read a sequel. So any sequel. And for that, I have chosen Saga Volume 3 by Brian Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This is a series of graphic novels set in a different galaxy, and it's kind of a Romeo and Juliet story about 2 warring peoples who fall in love and they have a baby, and this book is told from the perspective of Hazel, their baby, and it's such a fun and kind of crazy story, and it's a great graphic novel, and I can't wait to keep going with this series. The next subject is Transfiguration, and the prompt for this year is to read a book with sprayed edges or a book with red on the cover. And so I'm going to be continuing on with my read-through of the Grisha trilogy and reading Rune and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. This is the 3rd book in the Grisha trilogy. So this follows Alina, who is a Grisha, and her battle with the Darkling for the fate of Ravka. Because this is the final book in this trilogy, I'm really excited to see how Leigh Bardugo wraps this all up and concludes this series. So for my 3 additional subjects, I will be doing Care of Magical Creatures, Ancient Runes, and History of Magic. I completed my OWL last year for History of Magic by reading a historical fiction book, and I read Between Shades of Grey by Readathon. That book made me cry so hard. The next subject is Care of Magical Creatures, and I completed this last year as well, reading a book with magical creatures in it, and I chose The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, which has magical and mythical creatures all throughout. And the final subject that I'm going to be completing this year is Ancient Runes, the prompt for which is to read a retelling, and I'm going to be reading Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This is a YA contemporary retelling of Cinderella that's centered all around fangirls, cons, and everything nerdy, and I'm so excited to read this book. So that's it. That is my April TBR for the Magical Readathon. As a wrap up again, I'm going to be reading A Curse So Dark and Lonely, Saga Volume 3, Rune and Rising, and Geekerella. Hopefully I can get all of those books read with all of the traveling that I'm doing. It might be a little difficult, but we'll see. I'm really excited to take part in this readathon. Let me know down below if you're taking part in the readathon, and even if you're not, what you're reading in April. As always, thanks for watching, happy reading, and I will talk to you guys again soon.